I didn't wake up angry that morning. That's what surprised me most later when I tried to reconstruct how it all tipped. It was my son's 12th birthday. 12 is an in-between age, too old for a bounce house, too young for the indifference teenagers use like armor. He was already awake when I came into the kitchen. Sitting at the table in socks. Scrolling his phone with the careful neutrality he uses when he's pretending not to hope for something. The cake was cooling on the counter. Chocolate, because he decided vanilla was fine, but chocolate felt more like a choice. I checked my phone. Nothing, no call, no text. No badly timed group message with too many balloon emojis. My family is big on gestures, they're also big on schedules. Birthdays usually rate a call, even if it's rushed. By mid-morning, I noticed the silence the way you notice a room that's gone quiet after a party, like something ended without announcing itself. I sent a text. Not a confrontation. Just a fact. Didn't know you were traveling today. The reply came from my sister within minutes. Didn't want to deal with the birthday brat. It wasn't even dressed up as a joke. No winking emoji. No softener, just that. I stared at the words longer than I needed to. Not because they were devastating, exactly. Because they were familiar. Casual dismissal has been our family's native language for years. If you object, you're sensitive. If you pull back, you're dramatic. If you swallow it, you're easy. My son asked if anyone had called. I said not yet. He nodded and went back to his phone. 12-year-olds are already learning how to absorb disappointment without making noise. I typed back one sentence. Then don't count on the trust fund either. That was it. No punctuation flourish, no explanation. I didn't even reread it. What followed was predictable. Screenshots, laughing reactions. A cousin chiming in with a joke about me. Finally growing a spine. Someone said I was bluffing. Someone else said I was weaponizing money. Which made me laugh out loud, which money had been the family's favorite weapon for as long as I could remember. It was only controversial when I wasn't the one being cut. I didn't respond. That part mattered more than anything I said. Silence has always unsettled them. They're used to emotional negotiation, not refusal. The rest of the day passed gently. My son opened his gifts, we went out for pizza. He didn't mention my family again. And I didn't offer explanations he hadn't asked for. That night, after he fell asleep, I sat on the edge of my bed and felt the delayed tremor set in, not fear exactly, but awareness. I had crossed from managing their behavior to managing my own boundaries. Those are different skills. One is exhausting. The other is lonely. Over the next 9 days, nothing dramatic happened. That's another thing people don't expect. Power shifts rarely announce themselves. They move through boring channels. I made calls. I forwarded documents. I spoke to people who spoke carefully back to me. The trust fund had always existed in a strange moral fog, presented as generosity, structured as control. I had been named trustee years earlier because I was responsible. That responsibility had always come with the unspoken expectation of compliance. This time, I complied with the paperwork instead. No grandstanding, no threats. Just execution. I didn't tell anyone. On the 9th day, my phone buzzed while I was folding laundry. Unknown missed call. Then a voicemail notification. I listened to it once. My father's voice sounded smaller than I remembered. Not angry. Not performative. Crying in the way men do when they're surprised by their own fear. He didn't yell my name, he didn't demand. He said it quietly. Like he was testing whether it still belonged to him. He said he didn't understand. He said it was a joke. He said family doesn't do this to each other. What he didn't say mattered more. He didn't mention my son. He didn't apologize. He didn't ask how to repair anything, only how to reverse it. That was the moment authority entered the room. Not as a raised voice but as a reality neither of us could negotiate around anymore. The family's informal rules, mock first, soften later, rely on forgiveness, had finally met something firmer than tradition. I didn't call him back that day. I thought about my son at 12. Learning which parts of himself were worth protecting. I thought about how often I'd been taught love came with conditions so normal they were invisible. I did eventually return the call. A week later. Not because I felt pressured, but because avoidance wasn't the point. I told my father I wasn't angry. That surprised him. I told him I was done translating cruelty into humor to keep the peace. I told him the fun wasn't punishment, it was alignment. Values catching up to structure. He cried again. Quieter this time. Asked what he could do, I told him the truth. That I didn't know yet. That trust isn't restored on a deadline. That my son's birthday wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a signal. He didn't argue. That was new. We ended the call politely. Almost formally. Afterward I didn't feel triumphant. I felt steadier. Like something heavy had been set down without ceremony. A few weeks later, my son asked why Grandpa had been calling more. I told him adults sometimes have to relearn how to behave. He accepted that. Kids often do. The birthday they skipped didn't get rewritten. It didn't need to be. It became a marker instead, a quiet dividing line between the love that asks you to endure and the self-respect that asks you to decide. Nothing exploded. No one was publicly shamed. The family didn't fall apart. But something shifted, permanently and without apology. And for the first time, the silence felt earned.